Hello everyone. The human brain is full of mysteries and hidden potential. Scientists have been studying it for hundreds of years, and they probably won't be able to unveil all its secrets. But we know for a fact that the brain is responsible for our feelings, our reactions, our emotions, and our thoughts, which can often be unpredictable. Today, we're going to show you some very interesting social experiments, which will tell us a little more about the peculiarities of our brains. Let's get it on. 5 days in isolation. How often do we find ourselves alone in today's world? Well, basically never. When we're not around people, we have our phones and computers, we watch TV shows, we keep scrolling down the newsfeed on social media, we follow the lives of our favorite bloggers, and all in all, we are almost never alone with our thoughts, except maybe before going to bed. So, a UK channel decided to set up an interesting social experiment. The idea of the show was that 5 volunteers had to spend 5 days in solitary confinement. They could bring only 3 non-electronic personal items with them. Plus, of course, there was enough food in the ward. It is widely known that solitary confinement is particularly feared by prisoners. As a rule, it's punishment for those who've been particularly nasty. Psychologists have long proven the negative effect that such measures have on people's health, but it seems that it's especially harmful for modern people because we've completely forgotten how to cope with loneliness. And the results of the study confirmed it. Only 3 out of 5 reached the final. One of the participants, 28-year-old Charmaine, wanted to prove that she wasn't high maintenance. Unfortunately, she failed and managed to stay alone for only 4 hours out of 120.
She's only been here for a few hours, and the reality is starting to hit her.
Another participant, TV presenter George, survived a little more, exactly 24 hours. At some point, he began to feel an unbearable anxiety because of the boredom that was eating him up. According to him, the worst thing about the experiment was that he didn't understand what time it was. In isolation, people quickly lose time perception.
I think George is feeling quite powerless.
I suppose I never really made peace with where I was. I always had one eye on the door, basically, the whole time. You know, I was just like, right, I need to get out of here, I need to get out of here, I need to get out of here.
Only 3 people reached the end of the experiment: Lloyd, Lucy, and Sarah. For the last girl, this test was particularly challenging. After 72 hours, she started hallucinating and talking to herself. Lloyd hacked the experiment, though, using an interesting tactic. He started talking to the cameras. At least it made him feel like he was talking to someone. But the best experiment was Lucy. She drew in order to kill time. So we'd say that art is the best way to find peace with yourself.
Oh my God.
How you doing, Sarah?
I'm okay, how are you?
I'm all right, I'm George.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Positive thinking. You've probably heard the theory that thoughts are material at least once. Someone believes it sincerely, others consider it an anti-scientific nonsense. Well, perhaps this experiment will change someone's mind. 2 people took part in this experiment, a girl who'd never played basketball in her life and a guy who was very good at it. Here was the first part of the experiment. First, the girl tried to make 10 regular throws from the penalty line. She failed to score anything at all.
Oh, close!
Then she was blindfolded and she had to throw the ball without seeing anything, and again, she didn't score. But here's the trick. There was a crowd of people actively supporting her and pretending that her shots were very good, and that she even scored. Now her eyes were open back again, and she had to make 10 more shots. What happened then? She magically got better at basketball and scored 4 out of 10 times. Well, maybe it's just a coincidence, but let's see how the experiment went for the basketball expert who normally scores 9 out of 10 throws. As soon as he was blindfolded, the crowd started to boo him, telling him that he's not good at it. Just 2 blind throws under the noisy disapproval of the crowd, and the guy completely loses his confidence. Just look at him.
All right.
And then he's back without a mask on the court he knows with the ball he usually handles so well, but he misses every single time. The implication is obvious, right? Stay away from people with a negative mindset. They directly affect your performance. Staring. Do you know the feeling when someone's looking at you from behind? As a rule, someone else's gaze causes discomfort, makes you feel vulnerable and annoyed. So, the producers of this show decided to see how the clients of a barbershop would react to the increased attention of others. More exactly, from everyone in the room. As you might expect, the reaction of the clients was quite intense. The first participant of the experiment couldn't withstand the pressure for more than a couple of minutes.
I'm just gonna go.
The second victim, a little older, handled it better, but he was definitely tense.
Get a little closer. Don't be shy. Alright, nobody knows that commercial. No, I'm not nervous. Don't worry about it. I usually start sweating like this.
But why do other people's stares bother us so much, to the point that they cause powerful physical reactions? Well, it's very simple. Silently gazing at another person is a non-verbal way of telling them that they've done something wrong. This way of communicating goes back to the days when people did not have an oral language.
Adieu.
Realizing you've done something wrong, in turn, increases your stress levels. Your body begins to produce adrenaline and cortisol. This is what causes reactions such as increased heart rate and faster breathing, as well as excessive sweating. Jealousy. The human brain is 100 times more complex than a dog's brain. But are we that different from dogs in terms of emotions? The creators of this social experiment decided to test children's and dogs' reactions to the lack of attention. It turned out that their reaction was very similar. In the first part of the experiment, mothers played with their children and then became distracted by something like a phone call. In general, this didn't cause any negative reaction from the children until their parents started to play with a doll. You can see their reaction on the video. The children not only started to cry uncontrollably, but were also aggressive against their inanimate rivals. The second part of the experiment was similar to the first one, only instead of children, it involved dogs, and instead of a doll, there was a huge toy dog. And what do you think?
Oh, so cute.
The dog's reaction was no different from those of humans, uncontrollable jealousy. Who knows how many emotions similar to our own these creatures have? Does price matter? Of course, people tend to like expensive things because they reflect their social status. In today's world, money means so much that sometimes it doesn't let us think straight, and this experiment is proof of that. People are offered two different cakes, and they have to say which one is better. One costs $15 and the other one $55. Volunteers agree to help the supposedly amateur pastry shop owners and thoroughly comment on the taste of each cake. First, the cheap one.
It's a little dry.
What are you thinking?
Not enough frosting.
I don't know, I'd be kind of disappointed if this was my birthday cake.
Well, no one was thrilled with the $15 cake. Everyone found some flaws in it. And now let's see what they think about the dessert that's almost 4 times more expensive.
It's delicious.
Delicious?
Yeah.
This is the fancy one.
Much better. This is
Much better?
This is really good, dear.
The participants claimed that there was much more cream in the expensive cake. It was fluffier and overall tasted better. But not everything was that simple. As you've already guessed, these two cakes are absolutely identical. They have the same amount of ingredients, and they were cooked in the same oven. But the tasters continue to insist that the second cake was cooked differently. But how can they be so sure? Of course, it's because of the price. Unfortunately, our brain can easily be tricked. It makes us believe that the bakers of the more expensive cake used better quality ingredients in more quantities, worked more on the recipe, and were just better workers. You get what you pay for, right? Now we wouldn't be so sure about that, would we? In any case, this is a good reason to think about our consumer habits. Psst, dude, are you looking for new technologies and great gadgets? Are your thoughts focused on the future? Do you love huge vehicles and can't imagine your life without robots around you? Then visit TechZone and you'll find all this and more. The link is in the description. You interested? Great.